Once again, it's on. And we are back in the house once again. I'd like to welcome you all to another exciting episode of the Night Riders Squad cast. And man, I was not going to do this video. In fact, I was not going to do a video this week because I have so many things I need to be working on. However, I could not ignore this crazy dust up between Anton Daniels and Corey Holcomb. And as a lot of my Night Riders know, I have interacted with both of those guys. Salute to them. I rock with both of them. I've had extensive conversations with Anton. We've chopped it up. We've had debates. Many of people say that I've got the best of them, but anyway, it's all cool. I rock with both. Corey, I've been through his show in terms of, sending him donations. He shouted me out. So it's, I have a pretty good rapport with both of them. So to see this dust up and the way things kind of unfolded, I didn't see the actual show. I just kind of been watching secondhand clips, and it's been really crazy. So I'm going to speak on that briefly. This is not going to be a long video. Because like I said, I got some things to get to, but I definitely wanted to chime in and give my thoughts on that particular situation. In addition to, apparently I need to address Miss Lashid yet again. And it's cool. You know what? I actually appreciate, Lashid, you taking the time to listen to what I said with regard to, trying to be a little bit more concise. So I do appreciate you taking my advice on that. Although there's still some things that you are definitely overlooking, and hopefully in this video you'll be able to see that quite clearly. Now, let's get right into it. She did drop a video. It came up on my feed. I didn't notice she had at first made another video after my last one, but since she did, I'm going to give her the courtesy of responding. So let me pull that up here and we're going to get into it. Just got to point out some things. All right, so we're going to let this play because this video is pretty short, so I think I might be able to get through a good chunk of this. And I'm going to, like I said, after I get through with this, I'm going to cite a few things here and there, and then we're going to get into the Corey Holcomb, Anton Daniels dust up. So let's get it.
Oprah, Fat Luther. Okay. Then Oprah lost some of that weight. And Oprah was one of the professional Black women out there that really inspired, I feel, a lot of change coming from her upbringing from Mississippi, I believe, to going into Chicago, being successful, becoming a billionaire in the industry. Oprah Winfrey is a model of success that many Black women really followed. Single, never married. She's with Stedman, but he's a bum. In comparison.
Now he's actually right about that, and that's actually one of the things that I cited. It's not just Oprah as a media personality with regards to her show or any other media outlet. It's her persona. It's how much of an influence she had with this strong, single, independent, I don't need no man, I'm the boss type stereotype or prototype that she presented. So that was one of the things that I cited in terms of her influence. But anyway, let's get it.
To her. But one of the things that a lot of black men, and at that time, because I was too young to really remember it, was a lot of these anti-black male bashing content that was on Oprah Winfrey Show.
Okay, now that's very key what he said at that time, because he said he even admitted he was too young, because he's younger than us, and that's the one thing Lashid keeps overlooking. A lot of these guys who were talking about this, they grew up during the time that she was more hyper focused on black relationships and black men in particular with regard to the negative content. Of course, they're not looking at back in the 80s when she first came out. They don't know anything about AM Chicago and all this other stuff, because one of the criticisms that Oprah had at that time that I even remember was the fact that she was not black enough, quote unquote, in terms of her content, and she was catering to, of course, her white audience. That was one of the criticisms. So no one's making the case that she was from the outset or from the beginning focusing on black men in a negative or positive way. No one's suggesting that. But you have to keep in mind that people like O'Shea and other guys, they're younger. At least I know they're younger than us. I would imagine. I believe they're millennials. They grew up during the time that she was focused on black relationships. Because let me run that back, because that's something key that he said that I think Rashid maybe didn't pick up on. Let me go back.
Remember, it was a lot of these anti-black male bashing content that was on Oprah Winfrey Show. One of the things that a lot of black men at that time.
Right, he's saying black men at that time, and he's correct about that, and I'm going to prove that. He's talking about what they were saying at that time. Now, a lot of the younger guys who cited these shows, they were talking about the shows that I even remember that were going on in the 90s and coming into the 2000s. No one's talking about there were shows on the, during the 80s as well, but her hyper focus with regard to the negative stuff definitely started maturing into the 90s going into the 2000s. But anyway, let me run that back one more time.
Single, never married. She's with Stedman, but he's a bum. In comparison to her. But one of the things that a lot of black men at that time, because I was too young to really remember it, was a lot of these anti-black male bashing content that was on Oprah Winfrey Show.
Now, is he telling the truth? Did he remember?
Yes, he's telling the truth. And he didn't say, he just said he didn't remember because he was too young. He said at that time. So why are you asking if he's lying or not? I mean, that's the whole point you're missing. He's talking about what they were saying at that time, and I'm going to prove to you that is precisely what black men were saying at that time. So let's get it.
Did he really remember all of this, going back to the 80s and 90s?
Again, yeah, I don't know why you keep missing this point. He didn't even say, he literally said he didn't remember it because he was too young. So why are you trying to hold him to that standard? I'm going to play it back because apparently you're not listening to your own clip. This is ridiculous. But hold on. He literally said he didn't remember because he was too young. He said black men at that time. And I'm going to prove that he's correct on that. Hold on.
That time. Because I was too young to really remember it, was a lot of...
You heard that? He said he was too young. So why are you asking, is he lying or does he really remember it? He admitted he didn't because he was too young. Play it again.
That time. Because I was too, really followed. Single, never married. She's with Stedman, but he's a bum, in comparison to her. But one of the things that a lot of black men at that time, because I was too young to...
Okay, so you heard that, right? Play it one more time.
Edmund, but he's a bum, in comparison to her. But one of the things that a lot of black men at that time, because I was too young to really remember it, was a lot of these anti-black male bashing content that was on Oprah Winfrey Show.
Exactly. So remember, he just admitted that that's what black men were saying at that time, he didn't say he remembered it because he literally said that he was too young. So you mentioning whether or not he remembered it or whether or not he's lying is a totally unnecessary, irrelevant thing to say. Now, the question was he telling the truth about what black men were saying at that time? Because that's the specific statement that he made. And to answer that, it would be a resounding yes. Here's the proof right here. I'm going to read it for you. In the 1990s, right? Because remember, he was too young to remember. But in the and I'm not, because I remember this myself, because I was there. But anyway, in the 1990s, some black men criticized the Oprah Winfrey Show for perpetrating negative stereotypes of black men. The same thing we're saying, so it's consistent, and selectively featuring non-threatening black men while focusing on those who had done something bad to women. That was the major criticism that was going on back then. Specific criticisms by black men included focus on negative behavior. Critics felt the show disproportionately highlighted black men involved in crime, abuse, or relationship issues, which it did. I even remember looking at that myself. I was like, man, she always got these black men on here. It was always something wrong with them or something like that. I remember as a young man thinking that. But anyway, let's go. Contributing to a one-dimensional and negative public perception. Down low. We all know about that, stereotyping. And it talks about the particular episode. We already been over that one. So, and also how it was blaming the high rate of HIV and AIDS among black women on black men and all that, which later on we found out that to be a lie. But anyway, we can skip over that one because we talked about that one ad nauseum. The next one, selective guest appearances. The show was perceived by some to feature two types of black men. Those who were, quote, safe and appealing to her largely white suburban audience. And you keep bringing up the fact that her audience was mostly white and she was just going on mostly on white men. Yeah, in the beginning, and no one's arguing that. No one ever said that Oprah was not predominantly catering to a white audience, especially in the beginning. That's irrelevant. But that still does not negate the fact that she was still portraying negative portrayals of black men. And to be honest, her portrayals of black men were far more negative than any portrayal she did for the white population. Because the moment she started going in on them too tough, they was coming after her with lawsuits, just like the beef industry did. So no, she knew not to go too hard on the white men. She would have, with regard to rape relationships and stuff like that, but she wasn't going into white crime and white violence like that, like she was doing black men. Damn well she wasn't going in on them white men like she was going in on black men. So that's a false equivalency right there. But anyway, selective guest appearances. The show was perceived by some to feature two types of black men. Those who were, quote, safe and appealing to a largely white suburban audience, e.g., Bill Cosby giving lectures on black youth, or Will Smith gushing about his wife, and those whose scandalous behavior could be exposed on air. Platforming male bashing. See, that's where the male bashing came from. Some black men felt the show provided a platform for women to air grievances against men, contributing to a narrative that was critical of black masculinity. That's where the whole bashing came from, because it was imbalanced. She very rarely, if ever, platformed black men to air their grievances about black women. And that was one of the criticisms, because I even noticed that myself whenever I, saw the show, because I wasn't like a fan of the show or nothing, but I would, I had relatives and people, friends or whoever, you go over their house, they're watching it. And then, you're sitting down, you're just looking at it too. And that was always something that stuck in my mind. I was like, man, she always got these women on there complaining about what men did to them, but they never talk about what they doing to the men and stuff like that. I noticed that even as a young man. But anyway, the other one. Lack of diverse portrayals. There was a desire for Oprah to use her platform to showcase the wide a wider array of authentic, positive Black stories and achievements. You even admitted that that's what you wanted to see yourself back when AM Chicago first came out. So that's always been criticism of her. So for you to keep trying to talk about how much she focused on white men or whatever, that's irrelevant, because again, we know that that was one of her chief criticisms. However, when she did start morphing into more of this Black centered content, she would hyper focus on Black men in a negative way. And that is precisely what this is saying right here. And it says overall, or okay, in this other part, positive Black stories and achievements, rather than focusing heavily on pathology and dysfunction, which at the helm of that was primarily Black men. Overall, these criticisms stem from a concern that Oprah's massive influence and platform were not being used to build up the Black community, especially its men, and instead reinforced harmful popular stereotypes. There you go. I don't know how much more plain it could be. And I even told you in the last video, you need to look up the Oprah effect, because she had a disproportionate amount of influence, and a lot of the things that she would highlight, where there was certain things she, her favorite things and all this type of stuff, she would come out with her recommendations. That stuff would go through the roof. So if that would happen on the positive side, what the hell you think was happening on the negative side when she started demonizing Black men or saying anything negative? That also permeated throughout the society, and that was the whole problem. But anyway, let's get back to some more of this video. But and let me show you this. My other point with regard to her media presence was not just limited to her show, because if you go into her IMDb, you can see clearly. Look at this body of work. Women Abuse Brewster's Place, 1989. Then there was another TV show of the same name that came out a year later. 9. Oprah Behind the Scenes, Overexposed. Michael Jackson's Talks to Oprah Live, 1993. One of your favorites. The Wedding, Beloved. Remember that one. Amy and Isabel, Their Eyes Were Watching God. Legends Ball. With the Oprah Winfrey Oscars. Look at all this. On and on. Precious. Either she was the executive producer or producer of this stuff. The OWN show. All of this. This is what I'm talking about. And many of the guys who do criticize her, we're not just limiting it to her show. That would be ridiculous. Look at this body of work. Look at what she's been doing. And somewhere, I'm not saying in every case, but in a lot of these projects that she would throw her weight around for, they did have some negative portrayals of Black men. And this does not all include some of these other movies that she would, platform, such as Waiting to Exhale. I showed you that. You didn't even get to that in your last response, because once I showed you what she said about her own father, you shut it down then, because you couldn't even defend that. But yeah, if you would have proceeded, you would have saw that I showed a clip of her platforming the women of Waiting to Exhale as opposed to the men. But all of these other projects. Oh, and by the way, at one point you said that, well, she didn't produce The Color Purple. Well, she didn't have to, because the reason why we cite her on The Color Purple was because of the nature of the role that she played. I think it was Miss Sophia or whatever, that that whole persona. That's why we cite her, not because she had anything to do with the production. However, as fate would have it, she still turned out being a producer of The Color Purple, because she just did it back in 2023, right here. Boom, The Color Purple. So yeah, so you can't even use that. So here she go as a producer of The Color Purple still in more recent times. But anyway, yeah. But let's get a little bit more of this.
Now, is he telling the truth? Did he remember? Did he really remember all of this?
He didn't say that. See, you're very, you have a very peculiar habit of making straw man or straw woman arguments. And if you don't know what that is, I would suggest you look it up. I mean, I'm not sure what your education is. I know, being from Chicago, it varies. There are some pretty good schools there, but there's some pretty bad ones. And I know that they don't teach certain things. I did have the fortune of getting a good education Thank the Most High for that. I had a good family. But you really need to familiarize yourself with a straw man argument, because you're attributing things to him as well as myself that we never said. You keep trying to ask if he remembers that. He literally said he didn't remember it. So why are you trying to hold him to that standard? He admitted he was too young to have admitted, but he did say something 100% correct, as I just proved, in that the men of that time, and what I just read to you was what the men of that time were saying. So this ain't some revisionist history that some guys who were not there and didn't remember it. You ain't even got to bring that up, because that's not the question here. The question was what was going on at the time and what is her legacy. And my point, which you still have not addressed, is her overall presence as a media entity, the impact that she had in a negative way across various platforms, not just her show. But anyway, let's go.
Going back to the 80s and 90s now, does he really remember all of this black male bashing content?
Again, he said he did not. He's talking about what the black men were saying at that time, and he was 100% correct at that. Let's go.
The Oprah Winfrey Show. He's talking about the talk show now. He's talking about his childhood and everything. Okay. I don't remember that. Whether or not I like Oprah, whether or not I think she likes black men, whether I agree or disagree with Oprah and her new age.
And again, that's whether or not you remember it is irrelevant. It's talking about, because from your perspective as a woman, a lot of women didn't remember that, or they didn't notice it because it wasn't targeted at them. It's just like they say, if somebody's ever been attacked or bullied, or they remember every little thing, right? If you're the one who wasn't attacked or something never happened to you, of course it ain't going, but I guarantee you, if she was hyper focused on black women in a negative way, the way she was on black men, I guarantee you would have remembered it then. But this is kind of a moot point, because I've already shown that that's not even the point. You keep asking whether or not he remembers, when he said he did not remember, and he was talking about what was going on at that time, and he's not wrong about that. So let's move it forward.
Talk. That is how she supposedly reached so many black women, with her black femininity, black male bashing talking points, right?
Yeah, but she did that across various talk forms. It wasn't just her talk show. I showed you in her IMDb how much of a reach she had within media, period.
But yet, and I was able to also show you, not just say it, but also show you how the majority of her shows.
You did not show me the majority of her shows. You showed some shows that you had access to. You didn't even show the entire show, which again, that's not even necessary. Listen, she's had thousands of shows that she's done over 25 years. Come on. I mean, you haven't seen all of her shows. I know that I remember some of the ones that I did see, because again, I wasn't a fan of the show or anything, but I had so many instances where I was, I had family, people who would watch it. And then you just happen to be in the room, or you're visiting someone and the show's on and you're just sitting there watching it. I remember shows where there were black men being depicted negatively. I couldn't tell you the name of the show or when it came out and all that, but it happened. I remember it. And again, I showed you a time, it was kind of like a moment in time where those men of that time, what they were saying. That's why I did that. So we don't even have to go into this who remembers what or any of that. That's what they were literally saying at the time. So again, that proves the point right there. And you going through a few little shows that were uploaded that you didn't even go into depth about, what the real topics were, or going into, obviously you're not going to have time to go and show every little detail of each show, and everything has not been uploaded. First of all, because you're acting like you went through her entire library and combed with a fine-tooth comb, and you didn't see any negative portrayals of any black men in all of her shows. Come on now.
Of course, I can't show every single show. But
exactly, because that's the only reason. That's the only way your point would make sense, is if you could, but you can't. But again, that's not even relevant.
But definitely over 95% of her shows where she would talk about, especially in the 80s and 90s, when she would talk about, and even the 2000s, in the first decade of the 2000s, when she would talk about dysfunctional relationships, whether it's, between couples within families, etc. When she would talk about such things, usually over 95% of the time, the guests were white.
Again, that is not mutually exclusive to her being negative about black men. I don't know what part of that you don't understand. Just because her primary focus of her show, remember that's just the show, was just dealing with white folks, that does not negate those instances where whenever she did talk about black relationships, she was hyper focused on the negative aspects of black men. I am showing you that. That's what I just read to you. That is what the issue. At no point did someone say that predominantly every topic that she dealt with was black men, or that the majority of the stories that she covered was black men. No one's making that point. So here you go again with another straw man argument. No one's saying that. And again, that is not just limited to her show. We're talking about, at least I'm talking about, across various platforms. That's the point.
The guests representing dysfunction, they would be Caucasian.
Yeah, again, so she just kind of making that same point again. So let's get to this next guy she pulled up.
Now, over the last 20 or so years, your Oprah Winfrey has been in the doghouse with these white benefactors ever since she decided to go out here and endorse Barack Obama as president back in 2008. That was the start of the decline of Oprah Winfrey's relationship between herself and her white benefactors, because those white benefactors had no problem with her being a mammy on TV, bashing up black men like cars in the demolition derby on her talk show, and then elevating other popular whites like Dr. Phil.
Okay. So he's saying that on her talk show before 2008, and for the longest time before she endorsed Obama and everything, he said that she had been, bashing black men. That, like that was what you mainly saw on her talk show, even though perhaps it could be said, and he said that while she was promoting white men, even though it was usually white men, as I've shown you, who were shown as the quote unquote bad guys, or the ones in the dysfunctional relationships, et cetera, et cetera. But he's saying, is he telling the truth? Is he lying?
Absolutely, he's telling the truth. I just approved it. And we pull it up again. Since you asked. Yeah, he's telling the truth. In the 90s, some black men criticized the Oprah Winfrey Show specifically for perpetuating negative stereotypes of black men and selectively featuring non-threatening black men while focusing on those who had done something bad to women. So he's exactly right on that. There you go. And then we went down the list, all the bullet points. Focus on negative behavior, down low stereotyping, selective guest appearances, platforming male bashing. So even if she herself wasn't doing it, because she had to at least operate with some modicum of unbiased, even though we all know she would platform women to come and bash in terms of their own personal experiences, those one-sided stories that they would tell, without giving the other side a chance to highlight their issues. So absolutely, he's telling the truth there. Let's go.
He just didn't know. But if he just didn't know, why even say this if this isn't something that you haven't actually witnessed? Notice.
Again, it's just like with O'Shea. He didn't have to witness it. He was framing it in terms of what was going on at the time and what black men were talking about at that time. So anyway, I think she's pretty much just regurgitating that same point. Let me see what else I got in here before we get to, hold on.
That's the way that she has been primarily able to reach people through the media, through her talk show.
Okay, so she's talking about how she's primarily been able to reach people. Listen, initially when Oprah first came out, that's what she had. That was her main anchor to build her brand. Once she built her brand, it was a media empire. It wasn't just, it was the OWN network. It was Harpo. It was all of that. So I don't know what part of this you don't understand. Anybody such as myself or any of these other guys, if you were to sit down and ask us, well, In what ways did Oprah uh, stereotype or portray black men in a negative way? Was it just her show? We would all say no. We would start citing, as I showed you again. So let me pull it back up on the screen. Since you still want to keep hyper focusing on her show, I would take you through the list. I would say no, it was her show, but it was also all these other projects that she did. All these made for TV movies, these TV series, these other endorsing, because like I mentioned about the Oprah effect, she would just give the rubber stamp on some of these other projects that may have been portraying black men in a negative way, and she never met one of those stories that she didn't like, and so she would always kind of boost those. So yeah, I would go through the entire list. So yeah, that's what we're talking about. Ain't nobody just talking about her show, at least with regard to her bashing black men. Now, if you want to talk about her primary way of reaching her white audience or whatever, maybe the show was that. But when it came to the black folk, she had a multimedia outfit for that. She was reaching black people through film, through print, through movies, through TV shows. That's how she did it with the black folk. But anyway,
barely able to reach people through the media, through her talk show.
Yeah, again, I just showed you that that's not the case. But anyway, let's see what else we got in here.
Some receipts.
And again, these are not receipts based on what you said. I've already debunked the fact that you claimed that these guys were lying. They're not lying, as I showed you. That's precisely what the men were saying at that time. You have not shown me an example of a guy saying that Oprah's show was bashing black men, and that was the only way in which he was doing it. And because of that show, that's the reason why they come out today to talk about black women. You have not demonstrated that one iota. Okay.
Thing I've only heard in YouTube, bro. Here's another example, because you had asked for receipts. So I'm going to just try to be direct and give you some receipts.
Yeah, again, you have not provided receipts based on what even you said. And moreover, I even said that even if you can show me an example of a black man saying that her show was the only problem and it was because of her show that's the reason why he's going in on black women today, which you still have not shown, that has zero to do with my point. So again, you've never addressed my point. That's the reason why I'm even responding to you right now. I'm like, because I do, again, I will give you credit for making an attempt, but you still fall short because you are not addressed my issue, which is once again your claim that black men were lying about the negative impact that Oprah had on the black man image. And my point is across her entire media presence, not just her show. But anyway.
Of, these are just a few examples though. Okay, this is 6 years ago. Yeah, this is something I've been hearing. So you got to understand, me as a black woman, I've been hearing this over and over and over again.
Those who are old enough to know, Oprah Winfrey got her major start as a talk show host somewhere back in the 80s. Her show pretty much consisted of the bashing of black men.
So he said her show pretty much consisted of the bashing of black men. How does he know this? Is this because this is actually what he witnessed?
Okay, now again, I don't know how old this young man is, but I would surmise that he may have grown up during the time that was the criticism of Oprah's show. He may have been too young to even watch the show or anything like that. But just like with O'Shea, he may have been growing up at the time when these concerns were being brought up. And he can't reference back to the 80s because he probably wasn't even born then. So he doesn't remember the fact that when she was only focused on white issues. But by the time he came on the scene, he was seeing a lot of her focus being on, black issues, specifically when it came to blaming or demonizing someone. It was typically the black man. So from his perspective, he is telling the truth, because you got to understand, this is a whole different timeline. So you got to make sure you get your timeline right. You cannot hold somebody who's a millennial to the same standard as a Gen Xer, because from their perspective, they don't They don't know anything about AM Chicago. They don't know about her, what she was doing prior to that. All they know is when they were growing up, they were hearing, just like I read to you, the controversy that was going on about her show, which it indeed was being noted that it was being negative against black men. So from his perspective, he's exactly right. But anyway, let's get a little bit more of this, and I'm going to show a couple of other things, and we're going to get into this Anton and Corey thing real quick. And then, like I said, I ain't going to spend too much time on that, guys. I have a short clip from that because it's pretty simple what the issue is with that, guys, but I'll show you what I mean. But let's see if there's anything else. But I pretty much been dealt with this here.
He could not have witnessed this because
Again, he didn't even say he witnessed it. You keep making this straw man argument. I literally played you O'Shea saying that he did not witness it and that he does not personally remember it, but he cited that there were men talking about that at the time, and I gave you the receipts on that. So you can just dead that whole talking point.
showed you. And you can look this up yourself. And he's talking about her show going way back. Okay? Even though she had became more balanced, racially balanced, if you will, more so in the 2000s.
Well, she became balanced only in terms of the amount of attention that she was giving those subjects, because of course, she was giving more attention to the black issues, but within that is when she was giving more of the negative slant towards the black men, and that's the whole criticism. But anyway, yeah, I'm just thinking I'm beating a dead horse with this particular point, because I think the next one she's gonna pretty much do the same thing. So yeah, it's not too much of a different point. And again, I didn't want this video to go too long. So yeah, but let me just give you something here before I get into my next topic. You didn't even finish the particular clip that I gave you. I mean, it was funny. You kind of cut it off right at the point before, the clip even finished. But I'm just going to pull it up here real quick.
Considered a compliment that I am full of myself.
Because as I said, and I'll reiterate it, everything that she's espousing here should be totally antithetical to the things you believe in. So, and you even agreed with me when I said that in no way, shape, or form should you be defending her. But yet, I mean, here we are. But you did say that I was correct on that. But yet, you still find yourself defending her. But anyway.
You only when you're full. I'm full, I'm overflowing. My cup runneth over. I have so much to offer and so much to give. And I am not afraid of honoring myself.
Yeah.
It's miraculous. First of all, for me, my father and mother never married. They had sex one time underneath an oak tree because she was wearing a poodle skirt in 1953. And my dad, to this day, says, I want to know what's under that skirt. That's what I want to know.
And like I said, this was totally unnecessary, totally disrespectful. In front of all those people, she's going to throw her father under the bus. And if she would do this to her own father, the man who raised her, the man, if it was not for, ain't no telling where she would be. What the hell you think she would care about throwing a black man's image in general under the bus? Come on now.
He wanted to know what was under the skirt. They didn't really have a relationship. She wanted one, but he went under the skirt and then that was it.
And that was it. So he just like a dog in heat, right? He just knocked her mother up and then ran off into the sunset, right? This is crazy. And you sitting up here defending this. Okay.
And one time under the oak tree, bam, Renaissance.
Woman is born.
Okay, so yeah, so all her father did was just knock her mother up, and then she took care of it from there. She raised herself. She became everything she became just based on her own power. Okay. All right. And then, like I said, with this particular clip, this shows back in the 90s how she would platform. Even if she didn't executive produce it, she would give platform to, things like Waiting to Exhale and all this other stuff. And this is an example of that, them on her show. So I'm just running through these real quick. Here's another one that you didn't get to. But
It's the best time.
this clip right here shows how devious she is in terms of the type of lifestyle she would promote. So I just want you to hear this because I don't even know if you got to this part, but check this out.
Yourself, the lover, the friend, the companion, the nurturer, the supporter that you would want. It's the best time. You need to go through that. I'm dating him, I'm saying that.
Okay, so look at what she's propagating. You need to go through this phase, basically the whole phase, dating him, and riding the carousel, right?
Drop it like it's hot. Hey.
Drop it like it's hot. This woman's damn near 70 years old talking about dropping it like it's hot. She can't even drop it like it's lukewarm. This is ridiculous. And this is the woman you're defending. And this has created a whole generation of wayward, whorish women. And you're sitting up here trying to tell me that didn't have an impact. Well, Oprah, with all of her influence, and this is the type of stuff she's been talking about. She didn't just start saying this in this particular little interview. She's been talking like this. Let's get it again.
Drop it like it's hot. Hey, that's good. I'm dating him, I'm saying that's good. Drop it like it's hot. Hey, all that. And then you need a period where you just come down to yourself.
Okay, so then after you get through getting busted down by the block, then you can just calm down and, then you can self-reflect. Total nonsense. And then this right here shows her particular format that she would just let black women come on there and bash black men like this.
When I think about black men and dating in general, I think about their preferences. And sometimes I don't feel like they're always checking for us.
Hello.
So.
Yeah, never mind the fact that they themselves are the ones with all those lists, and a lot of black men obviously didn't measure up to their, quote, list. They want to get on here and cry and scream about how black men ain't choosing them, and Oprah provides these platforms, let a bunch of women come in there with no men to tell their perspective, but she'll platform all this type of foolery. And you trying to tell me that she didn't have a negative impact on black men's image?
I think specifically of a well-known celebrity who has been highly publicized for beating black women. But when I think about what his recent comments were about the hair of black women and who he would date based on her hair texture, it infuriated me thinking that, well, that one, who is a role model for a lot of black men, is not checking for us. He's making it seem like there's something wrong with having the one.
And watch this one woman right here with I forget her name, but with this pigmentation issue, she's trying to speak up, and because this woman up here with this, with the blonde edges, she's sitting up here trying to just demonize black men in general, but she's going to try to speak up, and watch how fast they shut her down. Watch this. This happened all the time on Oprah.
But do you realize you said that one? That could be for any
But
race.
that's not just
it's
him.
that one.
Exactly. So she's trying to make the point that it's just that one black man, and that could go for any race, but then watch how she can even get a word in edgewise to make her point.
It's not
just him.
Because here comes this other one jumping in.
Within the industry, they are fetishizing mixed women.
They do. For sure. They do.
But just if you have any sort of exotic, and that's the problem.
You're right.
Okay, so they didn't even let the other woman finish her point. They're up there talking about as if every man's just chasing the exoticals, right? Anyway, yeah, I think that pretty much proves that. So Lucia, you just got to come more correct. I don't know if you're just not getting it, but again, if you want to address this again, I don't have a lot of time to keep going back and forth on this, but I thought maybe you could formulate and craft your arguments a little better. That's why I was even inviting you onto the panel. But at this stage, I don't know if I have to retract that and maybe give you some time to work some things out. I don't know. But yeah, you got to stay focused on what it is that my particular talking point is, even though you did make the attempt, and I do appreciate that, to try to bring some receipts, even though they fell short, as I showed you. You definitely got to keep in mind what I'm actually talking about. So if you're not familiar with it, because I don't want to repeat it for the 15th time, so try to go back. If this feels important enough for you to keep it going, make sure you are very clear about what it is that I'm saying, and then maybe you could respond to that. Anywho, we're going to proceed with this particular clip before we wrap up, guys. As I said, this is not going to be quick. I'm just going to point out the obvious thing that I felt that went wrong with this whole dust up between Corey Holcomb and Anton Daniels. For those of you who may have came to this video only for this, I mean, I guess you could fast forward to this part. But hopefully you got something out of this conversation I had with Lashid as well, because I think it's pretty edifying. But let's get into the main topic, I guess, even though I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this, because to me it's kind of an open and shut case, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. But let's get it.
I believe you know this already. When the cops shoot you, ain't nothing you can do about it.
God, this is so crazy.
Do you think that's wrong? What I said?
This is so insane.
Is that what I said? I said when the cops shoot you, ain't nothing you can do about it. Is that a lie?
This is so insane.
But you didn't answer it.
I'm gonna answer your question.
Okay.
I'm gonna answer your question. It depends on the circumstance. And the interesting thing about it is this: the majority of the people, because
you know what, guys, I did it again. I do apologize. I don't know if you heard that, but I didn't put it on my display. I'm glad I just caught it. Okay, here we go. Let's run it back, guys. Here we go.
I believe you know this already. When the cops shoot you, ain't nothing you can do about it.
My God, this is so crazy.
Do you think that's wrong? What I said?
This is so insane.
Is that what I said? I said when the cops shoot you, ain't nothing you can do about it. Is that a lie?
This is so insane.
But you didn't answer it.
I'm gonna answer your question.
Okay.
I'm gonna answer your question. It depends on the circumstance. And the interesting thing about it is this: the majority of the people, because you like to use a blanket statement. That's like me saying all black people are stupid.
Well, have you said all white people stupid?
No, I'm talking about cops.
You should say that one time.
I'm talking about
because
cops.
it's easy to say all black people are stupid as an example. Say something about the white people.
No. You're not.
I don't think you got
people all the time.
Well, I didn't hear you. Can you tell me? Because I
talk
don't
about
know.
liberal white women literally being the biggest enemy of the United States of America. That's the thing I say every single day.
Caucasian female, the biggest enemy.
Literally, white liberal women are the worst thing that ever happened to this country.
What about their men?
But we gonna get there, because you keep trying to get me to qualify it by participating and joining in on the core.
Now, obviously, Anton, shout out to Anton, but he don't want to mess up the bag. You gotta understand, he about that bag. But anyway, let's get it.
I think you doing what's easy.
No. I'm doing what's real.
I think you don't want to go against them, because if you go against them, it'll be some video of you going against them. And when I say them, I'm talking about your boss.
I don't have a boss.
We say that. We say that, but here's the truth.
I don't have a boss.
It's a reason you go after black males or black people quicker than you will go after white males. What are white males responsible for in this country as the downfall of it?
I'm an equal accountability smoke giver. I talk about everybody.
I'm just saying, I ain't heard you talk about white men since you've been up here.
You ain't been listening. You ain't been listening.
I've been listening to you.
No, you haven't.
I hear you taking
you don't have the capacity to be able to listen because you're too busy.
No. You got me wrong.
You too busy.
My capacity
case,
that you just criticized, that's an opinion. Here's the fact. Have you said something about Caucasian males and how they destroy this nation? Well, what did I miss?
Let's slow down, because you talking loud, but you're not saying a lot.
No, you talking loud, and you still talking around. What did the Caucasian male do to America to bring it down?
I'm not.
That's actually a fair question, and obviously Anton does not want to answer that. And I think that's what got them both worked up. But again, I'm just gonna show you the key moment that made this go left. But let's go.
Getting into that.
You dancing around it. No, and that's why I lose respect for you when you start dancing and kissing Caucasian males' ass.
But I don't.
Don't do that in front of me, because I'm not an ass kisser of nobody.
Yes.
Okay, so that's, I think, what tipped the scale as far as from Anton's point of view, where he felt disrespected. Okay, and that's the reason why he's going to respond the way he is right here. Not to excuse it, because I think Anton made the wrong choice of words in his response, but I think when Corey said this is what prompted him to go there. But let's get it.
You are. You suck the dick of black people right now.
Okay, so that was it. And if you know anything about Corey, and I don't watch the show as much as I used to, but one thing you should know about him is that he don't like the gay references, right? Or as he called it, the backdooria stuff, right? So whether or not Anton was aware of that and he just maybe selected that word choice to get his, to really pull his chain, or, he was just, he felt slighted and disrespected because Corey said he's kissing white ass or whatever. So he felt he had to take it even further because, to be honest, that wasn't the best choice of words on the part of Anton, because even if he wanted to get, match that energy, he could have just told Corey, where you're kissing the butt of black folk. Right. I think Corey would not have responded the way he did had he did that, because, when you think of saying somebody's kissing ass, we know what that means, right? That has no necessarily, there's no homosexual overtones with that. But when you say you S in someone's D, I mean, that's pretty blatant, right? So that's where this went left. But let's get it.
You doing the easy shit. What you do, let me tell you what you do.
Nah,
see,
homie, let me tell you something, homie.
Ain't nobody gonna tell you.
I don't
ain't nobody
suck
gonna
dick.
tell you to, yeah,
I don't
you do.
suck
Yeah,
dick.
you do.
So fix
you doing
that.
it right now.
I don't suck
you
dick,
doing,
homie.
You doing it right
And then he's doubling and tripling down because he's saying, yeah, you do. And then Corey's like really getting heated because he's basically, going after his manhood with this one. But let's go.
now.
Homie, believe me when I tell you, I don't
Believe me
do
when
that.
I tell you.
I don't do that.
Listen.
So don't come at me with no dick sucking shit.
I'm gonna give you the same
Let's
energy
switch
you give me.
seats. Let's switch seats.
Let's
Switch seats.
I'm with it.
Homie, I don't do no dick sucking shit.
And this was wrong too, because I feel like, look, if y'all here to have a conversation, y'all should make sure that the respect is mutual, and you cannot. And I heard later on that they were dapping it up and they should have been able to move on, but then they still wound up with Anton rage quitting and all this type of BS. I'm like, look, this ain't nothing but ego at this point, right? But this thing went left when it could have been avoided in so many different ways, right? But let's get a little bit more of this before I wrap up. But I just want to crystallize and show the moment that it went left, and that's what it was. And we'll just let a little of this play, and then I gotta go. But let's get it.
Motherfucking man. I don't do no dick sucking shit.
I don't give a fuck about none
Well,
of that
I
shit
tell you
right
what,
now.
watch that dick sucking shit, because that'll go bad.
Call it what you want.
I don't do no dick sucking,
You
homie.
say a lot of shit that I don't fuck with either. You
Okay, but that gay shit, oh, you
I
go.
don't give a fuck about what you talking
Hey,
about.
homie, I tell you what.
I'm right here.
Don't put
You
no
switching
dick
seats
sucking
don't mean
shit.
to me.
Don't put no
I'm from
dick sucking
Detroit,
shit on me, nigga.
I'm from Detroit
Say
right
I
now.
suck a dick again.
I'm right here, right now.
All right, that's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna respect you.
Dance around it. Dance around it.
No. I'm a
I don't do no dick sucking shit.
I'm gonna respect you because it's your platform, and I flew out here to have a conversation.
We good.
But
We
you're not
good.
bossing up on me.
Yo,
We good. I did already. I don't do
Nigga, we
dick
can put
sucking
the
shit.
microphone right down,
Yo.
right now, and go on back. I don't give a fuck
sir.
about
No,
this
sir.
shit.
Now this is just some ego stuff right here, because once he said he gonna show him respect, and it's Corey could have just moved away. They could have decided what they gonna do, keep it going, or just, hey, that's the end of it. We too heated. We can't have a rational conversation after this. Whatever. But anyway, let's get a little bit more.
Homie, you just running your mouth.
I'm not running my mouth.
You running your mouth. I don't do
You
no
doing
dick
this shit for
sucking
the
shit.
internet. You doing it for the internet. Now, if you want to say your time, no, hold on. If you want
I'll
to say
show
Anton,
you I ain't doing it for the internet.
If you want to say Anton, listen, don't
I'ma let
disrespect me
you
like
finish.
that. If you want to say Anton, don't disrespect me like that. I'll respect you, but don't boss up on me, because you said a lot of shit to me today that I don't fuck with either. But I let that shit ride because you don't know me. You don't know me. So I'm gonna extend the same respect to you. You called me out of my name. You said some wild shit, especially with regard to how
Would it call this nigga out his name?
Nigga, I'm telling you that you did. You can't tell me how I get respected.
I got a question for bro.
Okay.
No. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. We just getting loud. I ain't gonna get loud.
Then don't switch seats.
No,
This
this my show. This
cool.
my show.
That's cool, but I take that shit as a threat.
Okay, well, it is a threat if you calling me dick sucking. I don't dick suck, my nigga.
Man, fuck what you talking about.
I don't dick suck.
If you want to get back to the conversation, because you ain't gonna do shit. Because you're not gonna do shit.
Come at me with that dick sucking shit again, nigga.
You're not gonna
come at me with. Say I suck dick again, nigga.
We can go out back right now.
Fuck I am.
We can go out back right now. I'm with it.
I bet you won't say that shit.
We can go out back right now.
I got money for all this. Whatever.
I got money too. Don't nobody give a fuck about that shit.
Hey,
No, it's just not respect.
I ain't falling for that. Golly, get out the way. Don't get in the way of two niggas. Let me tell you something, homie. I ain't got to go out back right now, because we got to go out back to lead this motherfucker. But I'm saying that dick sucking shit, watch that. That's all I'm saying. And if I don't say it how you like
If you want to get back to the conversation, we can get back to the conversation.
But just know,
I'm not listening to none of that shit, bro.
Here, nigga.
I'm not listening to none of that shit. If you want to get back to the conversation,
long as you
we can
know.
get back to the conversation.
Long as you know.
Bro, you not.
Okay, so yeah, that's just a little piece of the clip that I took. But yeah, you guys, that was just my take on it. I hate to see two guys that I'm relatively cool with go at it like that, and then two black men. It's a bad look. But hopefully at some point they can kind of resolve that, because I think it's a bad look overall. But you know, if you guys could just chime in on what you think about it. But at any rate, we're gonna kind of wrap it up. But yeah, it's crazy to me because, you know, I think that could have been the beginning of a very good conversation. So again, I have not seen the show. I might see if I can go, you know, look at it. But those particular key points I just want to chime in on, because as I mentioned, there were points in which a different word choice could have avoided this. Because again, when Corey said that that Anton was an ass kisser, Anton definitely took that personally, and he wanted to kind of go even further with it, and that's why he used the verbiage that he did, when he could have just said the same thing back to him, which is, well, you're just kissing black folks' ass then. And then I think that, once again, I don't believe Corey would have responded as negatively had that happened, but again, who knows? But that's just my take on it. I did want to take an opportunity just to chime in, because some of you are aware that I have interacted with both of those gentlemen. And again, hopefully at some point they can work that all out. But at any rate, we're going to end the way we always do. We're not just a broadcast. We're a squadcast. There's a very big difference. Mission complete. Over and out.